Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is where you are. This is a great day that God has made, and I'm going to rejoice in it, and I hope you are too. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to pay close attention to this opportunity for generational wealth. I'm talking about being able to leave money for your children's children. Pay close attention. Take a moment to read this disclaimer, and I'm going straight into the opportunity with you because I'm a straight to the point guy. Have a great day, night, evening, whatever time it is where you are. Go over this disclaimer, and we're going to get straight to the point. Okay, you should be done by now. So, with nothing further to do, check this out.
Michael, take it away, sir.
I can hear you loud and clear, sir. Take it away.
Fantastic, Michael. Once again, man, thank you so much for all that you do, for your leadership, for the things that you are doing both publicly as well as behind the scenes to really help this team grow and to get the incredible word out about Bytnex, man. We are having an amazing time and we are helping a lot of people around the globe. And listen, Mike, I always want to say it every time we start. I want to make sure that everybody understands that I want you to do the same thing. We're asking everybody here to be an adult, make your own decision, do your own research, and then determine if this makes sense for you and your family, like we did for ours. But with that said, I want to cover three brief things for you here regarding Bytnex. First, I'm going to give you their offer, right? And I promise you that once you hear what they're offering, you're going to start to have this moment where you're going to say, that just can't be real. That's just too good. So we're going to show you the proof that the offer is real. And then if you decide at that point that you know some other people who could benefit from the offer like we did, we're going to share with you quickly the optional referral program. The keyword there is optional. Now, Bytnex is a community-based project utilizing a blockchain-based DeFi staking protocol as its main point for earning. It's got relationships with banks, insurance companies, and individual account holders like us all across the world, making sure that we're all in a position to profit. Which makes them unique is they have this DeFi hybrid contract, which consists of a smart contract as well as a decentralized Oracle network. There are over 800,000 people currently utilizing the Bytnex platform. And even if it's new to you, guys, it's been around since 2016. So it's not new to the world. You're just hearing about it, but I promise you, you're hearing about it just in time. Now, if you don't understand what staking is, it's a process of keeping your crypto assets locked for a contractual period of time so you can generate passive income. Locked assets protect the network's ability to generate crypto profits. As a reward, the staker slash participant, that's us, we get returns, in this case, daily returns. It's very similar to getting a CD from your bank. The longer the term, the better the interest is for you and your family. Now, here we have this unique four-part profit partnership. When everybody does their job here with Bytnex, everybody gets paid. For your part, you're going to create a free account with Bytnex using only an email address and a password. You'll pay a $100 processing fee for every DeFi staking contract or contracts that you decide that you want. And then you're simply going to pick how long, what is the term of the contract that you're looking for? 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, or 7 years. By the way, you can secure up to 80 contracts. And once you hit that mark, we can show you how to acquire more if you want to actually operate within a certain blend of contracts. Now, for the bank's part, the bank is going to make a loan or loans directly to the staking contract on your behalf. Now, the loans will be for $30,240 if you pick a 2 or 3 year term, or $43,200 for a 5 or 7 year term contract. Now, for their part, the bank gets back a generous annual interest rate. They also get back their initial loan amount at the contract's termination before we're able to collect our profits. Now, an insurance company steps in, they remove all the risk from the bank. They say, listen, we're going to insure the Bytnex staking contract against catastrophic loss or default, Mr. or Mrs. Banker. If anything happens to the Bytnex platform for any reason, we will give you back your initial loan capital. For doing that, the insurance company gets a monthly premium. And again, that removes all the risk from the bank. Finally, the smart contract does all of the heavy lifting. They calculate the daily profits. They pay the bank its annual interest rate as well as return the bank. They call it called a loan reversal. They give them back their initial capital at the end of the contract term. They pay the insurance company their monthly premium, and after everyone else gets paid, they assign the remaining profits to us. Now, guys, you're going to have the opportunity to decide, do you want a 2-year, a 3-year, a 5-year, or a 7-year contract? You'll see they do everything here in months, but they also have these DeFi hybrid packs. This is a bonus that they're running right now where you can actually go out and pay for 10 contracts, which would cost you $1,000, but get 15 contracts instead. So 5 bonus contracts if you do the 2-year pack or the 3-year pack. So you can decide on that as you're coming up with your own strategy. Now, let me show you what the difference in return is here for you and your family, so to help you make your decision. Remember, 2-year, 3-year, 5-year, or 7-year, no matter which contract you pick, your financial responsibility is still the same, just a $100 processing fee. But let me show you the differences. If you pick the 2-year staking term, you're going to pay the $100 processing fee. The bank will then make a $30,240 loan to the Bytnex staking contract on your behalf. And what's going to happen is over that 2 years, the bank's going to get their annual interest rate every year. The insurance company is going to get paid every single month. There's a $30 platform fee that's paid to the Bytnex platform. All this is done by the smart contract. You don't have to worry about making payments. But after all that is said and done, and the bank gets their 30 grand back at the end, what's left over for you and your family, $22,000 for each 2-year staking contract that you've gone out and acquired. At the 3-year level, same loan amount, same financial responsibility on your side, but because it stakes for 1 year longer, $35,000 for you and your family. Now, after that, it starts to get a lot more serious. At the 5-year level, you'll see the loan amount from the bank goes up by about 50%. Your financial responsibility is still exactly the same, but over 5 years with this increased loan amount, over $471,000 left over for you and your family. And finally, with the 7-year term, guys, $1.5 million and change. So those are the numbers that you can use to make the determination of what strategy makes the most sense for you and your family. Now, once a contract is selected and the $100 processing fee is paid, you'll see that the appropriate loan amount is instantly placed into your back office, into the staking pool. Here's a gentleman. Let us take a snapshot of his back office. He had been involved here for just a few days, but he went out and got a 3-year contract, paid his $100 processing fee. $30,240 entered back into his back office right away. Took about 24 to 48 hours for that to go live in his staking pool, and he started earning daily interest right away from his profit from the staking. Now, the first elephant in the room, we know what it is, right? I mean, first time I saw this, the first thought I had was, this can't be real, right? I mean, who wouldn't pay 22 grand, right? In 2 years, who wouldn't want to pay $100 to get 22 grand in 3 years, or 2 years, 35 grand in 3 years, 471 in 5 years, 1.5 million in 7 years. I mean, it just sounds a little too good to be true. So this is what we took a look at. First of all, the great thing about having something that's been around for 9 years, a project that was running that long, is we were able to find other people that had gotten involved earlier and had already been paid out. Here's a gentleman who had actually gotten started in 2020, and here we are at the top of 2023, and he's receiving his payout. So here we go, January 10th of 2023, he was able to withdraw $98,800 on that day. The very next day, January 11th, $89,000. A couple of months later, March 15th, $100,000. March 18th, $100,000. March 20th, $112,000, and March 21st, another $100,000 and change. Add all that up, and that's more money over about a 3-month period at the top of that year than most people earn in 5 to 10 years of working a full-time job. And the only thing he did different than you and then I is 3 years earlier, he put in $600 of processing fees to get 6 contracts, and then he was able to be rewarded for those contracts after 3 years. Here's another gentleman that agreed to actually record the entire process for us from soup to nuts. His name was Mo. He said he'll do it for us as long as we blank out some of his personal information, which we did. But here's what we saw. Mo got started back here 11/20, so November 20th of 2020. That's when his contract date started. It shows you the termination date. You get all this information, by the way, for every contract that you acquire. So it showed that 3 years later it would terminate 11/21 of 2023. Now, back when Mo got started, there was no, hey, pay for 10 and get 5 additional contracts. The promotion they were running was buy one, get one. So for one $100 processing fee, he got 2 3-year contracts. The other part you want to be aware of, so this all makes sense to you, is back then they had a banking provider that was providing $43,200 loans even for their 3-year contracts. They don't have that anymore. They're providing $30,240 today, but back then he was able to get two $43,200 loans for his 2 3-year contracts. And you can see that right here on November 21st, he got an email from support and it said, hey, Mo, come get your dough. It laid it all out for him. This is for the DeFi 36 contracts that you got. Here's the wallet balance, $501,487 and change. After some end user fees, we went down to $485,000. We then had to do a loan reversal. Remember, $43,200 times 2, because it was buy one, get one free, right? Times 2, $86,400 back to the bank. The bank gets their money back first. And Mo, here's what's left over for you and your family. $398,745.68. He then showed us his back office in his Bytnex back office, and he was able to show us $398,745.68. That was deposited into his back office. He then went down and smashed the withdrawal button, as you probably would as well. And then Mo showed us when that ended up into his off-chain wallet, when he was able to get that into his non-custodial wallet in his control. 10.597 Bitcoin, $388,653.68, which represented about a 4% withdrawal fee from the initial amount that he withdrew, right? All these red arrows are people like you and I withdrawing. All the green arrows is when Bytnex is actually putting the crypto in, the Bitcoin in, to be withdrawn. So here's a red arrow on May 13th, $6.9 million. Here's another red arrow, $451,000. Another red arrow, $4.9 million. Another red arrow, $5 million. This is a day earlier. This is on May 12th, guys. But think about what we're talking about. Millions of dollars and hundreds of thousands of dollars going out to people just like us. If that's not enough for you guys, here was a bigger wallet that they showed that they were using from the very beginning. $516 billion. $241,580,691 then withdrawn out by people just like you and I over the years. This is absolutely incredible what Bytnex has been able to do. I've never seen a project that was pushing out this level of payment to their account holders. I've never seen it in my entire life. Now, if that makes sense, then maybe you come to the next elephant in the room. Okay, but how do we know they're really doing business? I hear what you're saying. Clearly, the blockchain can't be fake. They're paying out billions of dollars, but maybe it's just the most successful $100 Ponzi scheme in the history of the world. Well, let's do some simple math, guys. Think about it for a moment. Let's round it all the way up to 900,000 members, right? If it was just a Ponzi then and they weren't doing business, the only money coming in would be the $100 processing fees. You take 900,000 times the $100 processing fee, you end up with 90 million. That's a big number. You take that 90 million. Let's assume that everybody in the history of the Bytnex platform, they went out and they got 80 contracts each. Kind of ridiculous because we know that they didn't, but let's say they did. You'd still end up with a maximum of $7.2 billion. And that's a lot of money. But I just showed you 2 wallets on the blockchain, and the smallest wallet had already paid out $52 billion. How could you have an extra $45 billion to pay out if you're not doing real business? The only thing that makes sense is they are doing real business. Is yes, indeed, every one of these $100 processing fees is then being replaced with a $30,000 or $42,000 loan. They are doing staking. They are doing liquidity provision for exchanges, and they are pulling back profits, which they're then able to go out and share with us in our community. Finally, guys, if that makes sense to you and you think you know some other people who could benefit from this, let's talk about the referral program, and then we're going to wrap this up, guys. There's a few different ways that we can be compensated here if we want to go out and share this with others and help other people find out about the incredible Bytnex platform. The first way is our direct referral program. It's very simple. It's based off of the $100 processing fee. Every time you directly refer someone, they're going to pay you 30%, or 30% of $100 is $30, right? For every single $100 that they spend as a processing fee. So if they go out and spend 1,000, you get 300. They spend 2,000, you get 600, etc. On top of that, anybody that those people refer will be considered your level 2. You'll make $5 for every $100 they spend. Same thing on level 3, and so on down through a total of 10 levels. To give you an idea of what this might look like, if you just did some minimal effort, you referred just 3 people who did the same. As that grew through 10 levels, you would still have a big team. If all of those people simply went out and got 10 contracts each over time, this is what your numbers would be. This is what your commissions would be. And this is what the payout would be. A couple of $1 million as you start to add all this up that you could earn just for sharing this with a few people who did the same. Now, on the back end, guys, though, that's where it gets really exciting for us, because it's not just about going out and getting paid when people are securing the contracts. We love the fact that we would also get paid when the contracts hit their maturity value. So on the back end, what Bytnex is going to do is they're going to pay you through 20 levels. So if you remember on the front end, we said, hey, on the 5th level, you would have had 243 referrals, 2,430 contracts, 4% each on the front end. That's 4% of $100. That's $4. That's $9,720. On the back end, you're also going to get 4% again, but not 4% of $100. 4% of the executed value of the contract. So if these were all, let's say, 3-year contracts, I don't know if you remember, 3-year contracts pay out at 35 grand plus. 4% of that is $1,400, not $1,400 total, $1,400 for each one of these contracts. In total, that's $3.4 million just from that one level. Guys, if you remember, when we looked at the blockchain evidence, 6.9 million being paid out, 4.9 million, 5 million being paid out. All of a sudden, the math starts to make sense, because if people are going out there and they're building a referral program, they have the opportunity to get some huge payouts just for going out and helping others. Guys, finally, the leader program, love this, because for those of you who are prolific at sharing, who want to go out, your influencers, your network, etc., when you refer 100 people directly to the Bytnex platform, again, these aren't necessarily people who want to build it or refer or share it or whatever, just people who want to try and get at least one contract each. Once you do that, and then within your total team, you have 1,000 contracts or more, you're now qualified at what they call their leader bonus. They'll pay you $5,000 right away, but then from that point on, they're going to look at your first 2 levels every month. And as long as your first 2 levels get at 100 contracts or more between those 2 levels, remember, not 100 new people or more, it could be the same people just getting another couple of contracts each, but 100 contracts or more, they're going to pay you $5 additional through infinite levels throughout your entire team. It's absolutely pretty amazing. Remember, we talked about the front end. We said, hey, by the time you got to level 7, you'd have about 2,100 plus referrals, 21,000 plus contracts. You're earning 3% there. So $3, 3% of $100, so 65 grand, pretty good payout. But if you had achieved leader status by the time you got down to level 7, you would get paid an additional $5 for all of these contracts. That'd be an additional $109,000 on top of that $65,000. Now, by the way, even if you don't hit the 100 contracts in your first 2 levels in any particular month to get the $5 bonus, guys, you get anywhere between 50 and 99. They'll still give you a $2 bonus. Anywhere from 20 to 49, you still get a $1 bonus. Let me show you what this looks like in practice and not just theory. Here's a gentleman that let us actually take a snapshot of his back office. He had been involved with the Bytnex platform at this point for about 3 years and 3 months. This gentleman showed us that, hey, for his profits locked, he had about $7.6 million in growing. This is after 3 years and 3 months, right? This is how it broke down for his own personal contracts, staking. 4.7 million and growing. I say and growing because remember, some of these are 3-year contracts that he got, some 5 years, some 7-year, right? So this is going to keep growing for several more years. This number could become 20, $25 million or more. His rewards referral staking, that means from his team, the back end we were talking about, 2.8 million and growing. But check out what he already put in his pocket. Over $2.1 million already in his pocket. He earned 584 grand and change from going out and referring people through those 10 levels. Somewhere along his journey, he qualified at the leader level where he got that additional $5 through infinity. That worked out to be over $912,000 for him. So that's about 1.5 million just between those two. And then once he got to his 3-year mark, contracts started coming to their maturity value. His team contracts that he received so far, remember over here, he's got 2.8 million and growing, but 289,000 has already been paid out to him that he put into his pocket. And he also had 4 of his own contracts close out. So he earned 316,000 from those 4 contracts as well. That's the 2.1 million in his pocket, 7.6 million in growing. And remember, this just represents a 3-year effort. That's a heck of a 3 years in somebody's life. So let's get to that final elephant in the room, which is, okay, so you guys have got basically the most incredible thing I've ever seen. Why is it that everything's so anonymous? Why so hush hush, right? Why don't we know everything about all of the people who are involved in it? I want to solve that for you and answer that for you with a little bit of a history lesson, guys. Why anonymous? Well, we all know about Bitcoin. We know it's all incredible. It's over 100,000, blah, blah, blah. We know this, right? But a lot of people don't know the origin story of Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin was invented in 2008 when an unknown entity published a white paper under the pseudonym of Satoshi Nakamoto, right? Pseudonym meaning that was not actually his name, or more to the point, their name, because people believe it was a group of developers, not just one person, but they want it to be anonymous. And we're going to talk about why here in a second. What we do know is why they created Bitcoin. Back in 2008, that was when the housing crisis happened that almost bankrupted the world. It almost crashed the entire world financial system, right? Remember that? People lost their life savings. People lost their homes. Some people couldn't deal with the financial pressure. They lost their lives. But it came out later that the banks actually knew it was going to happen. They did not warn anyone. They did not tell anyone. And that pissed these guys off. They said, you know what? You can't trust the banks. You can't. They just care about making money. It's always going to be their best interest over the people. So let's create the people's money. And that's what Bitcoin was supposed to be. When it actually came out onto an exchange in 2009, opening price was 0.003. Everybody thought it was a joke, 1/3 of a penny. But nobody was laughing 2 years later when it achieved price parity with the US dollar. One Bitcoin, $1. And now we know in 2025, Bitcoin over $100,000 per Bitcoin. Everybody says this is the greatest returning investment in the history of mankind, from 1/3 of a penny to 100 grand in about 16 years. Absolutely amazing, guys. As a result, there are now tens and tens of thousands of cryptocurrencies, current combined market cap of over $4 trillion. Bitcoin still dominating at about 2 trillion plus from their market cap. This year, when we started, there was over 172,000 crypto millionaires, over 320 cents a millionaires, and over 28 crypto billionaires. And those numbers represent a 40% increase over the year prior. All of this because Bitcoin was allowed to grow. Now, think about this for a moment. Let's go back and look in history. We know that banks make money by being able to profit from your money. But if you think about this $4 trillion, most of this is being held outside of banks, inside of digital wallets. So if a bank was sitting around and they were watching the growth of Bitcoin, and they were watching people starting to take thousands, then tens of thousands, then hundreds of thousands, then millions of dollars out of their banks, so they could no longer control it, they could no longer profit from it, and these people were taking this money out to invest in this digital gold rush, do you think the banks would have simply have sat back and allowed that to happen? There's no way. If they knew who Satoshi Nakamoto really was, they would have tried to destroy this individual. They would have said, you don't want to be involved with them. They're weird. They're strange. They do crazy, illegal things. Stay away from all these digital dreams and blah, 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 blah. You don't want to do that, because they would have seen themselves losing control of the money. They literally would have strangled Bitcoin in its infancy. It's only because of the anonymity that Bitcoin was allowed to grow, and that we have this incredible opportunity that we have today in the cryptocurrency markets, guys. That's why anonymous. The banks, the insurance companies, the smart contract creators, the account holders, all anonymous for our benefit. This allowed Bytnex to operate uninterrupted since 2016, and this gives us the ability to be part of one of the largest wealth creation vehicles in history. Guys, if you like what you see here with Bytnex, simply make a decision. What makes the most sense for you and your family? What combination of contracts gets you and your family to safety and security and then to your dream lifestyle? Decide that, get back to the person who invited you, let them know, and they will get you started. If you decide you want to work with us, let me be the first to say, welcome to the Bytnex family. I look forward to working with you. I look forward to helping you achieve your goals. And I look forward to sharing your success stories with others here in the near future. Thanks for your time. God bless you. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I